Good evening, class. Hello, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me for practice today. And today and this week, we've been working on hip openers. And so we will continue from our fundamental class on Monday. Today will be a level 1 focused class where we'll be working on opening up our hips a little bit more. So we'll be getting into a little bit more deeper poses, advancing a little bit more. It will be a 60-minute class, Vinyasa focused, so we'll definitely still move and warm up the whole body, get a full body workout here. And as far as hip openers, it's like that can be a common place where people keep their stress as far as in their hips. I know for me, it's mostly my shoulders, but there are definitely days where my hips are just tight, either from sitting too much or just being in one or two different positions that really just don't open them up. So that's the goal today. We're going to bring our awareness to our hips, open them up. Maybe it releases some stress, some tension. Maybe it makes you feel a little bit better today. So as far as props you'll need, a couple blocks will be handy. Not super necessary, but if you do have them, just keep them nearby. You can place them up at the top of your mat for now. And we'll actually get started in a seated position. So join me in a seated position with your knees crossed over your ankles. This is our Sukhasana pose. I've got Coney right here next to me. Oliver's right across the room, so we'll see if they say hello today. I'm sure they will. Oh, hi, Ellen. Thank you again for checking in. Always appreciate your company here. Okay, so get started in a nice, comfortable seat. With your legs crossed, try to have your ankles directly underneath your knees. See if you may be one that keeps your ankles typically closer together, so just see if you can bring those feet a little bit closer underneath the knees. Now, if you ever have any issues sitting up in your Sukhasana, your content pose here, you can always place a block underneath you. You can roll up your mat. Just give yourself a little bit of elevation. That way it'll help move the pelvis forward and allow you to create a nice long neutral spine. So let's gently rest the palms on top of the knees, palms face down. Root down through your sit bones, rise up through the crown of your head to create a nice long spine. And we'll just take a couple nice deep inhales and exhales as we transition into our practice. So take a nice deep inhale in and exhale. Let's inhale through the nose, through the mouth, exhale. Do two more like that. Inhale through the nose, through the mouth, exhale. One more through the nose, out the mouth, exhale. I'll take one more deep inhale. Hold that inhale at the top. Keep the breath in. Keep a nice long spine here. Keep that spine. Keep those shoulders resting away from the ears. And now keep that nice long back and exhale out through the mouth. And just return to your normal breathing here. We'll start by warming up the arms. So let's release our arms down to the sides now, palms face down. Start to inhale the arms out and up overhead, palms face each other, maybe the fingers touch. Exhale, release the arms down to the sides, palms face down. So it's inhale, palms together overhead. Exhale, turn the palms away from each other, let the arms fall down. Two more times. Inhale up. And exhale, release. Inhale up, drop those shoulders away from the ears, and exhale, release. Let's add a twist. So we'll inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, twist to your right, release both arms to the outside of the right thigh. Inhale, back up to center, palms face each other, and exhale, release to the left side. Let's inhale back to center. Exhale, twist to your right, release. Inhale back to center, arms overhead. Exhale, twist, release to your left. Do that two more times. Inhale to center. Exhale, release to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, left. One last time. Inhale to center. Exhale, release the arms to the right. Inhale to center. And exhale, release to the left. Come back to center, arms overhead one last time. And exhale, bring the palms down through the center and down to the sides. All right. Remember which foot is in front. We're going to switch it, but we're going to do something in between first. So first, release your hands behind you. If you are on a block or folded up a blanket or something, just place that off to the side. You'll have your arms behind you now to keep you upright. So release anything that you're sitting on to the side, arms come behind you, palms face forward, and then extend your legs out in front of you, but keep your knees bent. Keep your feet flexed so the toes come back towards your face, heels on the mat, and have your heels a little wider than maybe shoulder width distance. So they're definitely wider than hips width distance. I have this bear sit where we can work on our internal and external rotation. So when we're working on these hip openers, a lot of times we want to isolate the movement just at our hip. So use this as an opportunity to just kind of become familiar with that. So this is our neutral position. To come into our internal rotation, we'll draw our knees together, big toes together. And then exhale, external rotation, we'll open up the legs, separate the knees out, maybe the outsides of the feet come to the mat. So we'll inhale as we draw the knees together, internal rotation, and exhale, release out to the right. So keep going on your breath. And when you do that internal rotation with those knees coming together, if they touch, just separate your knees out a little bit wider. So inhale, draw together. Exhale, release out to the side. Make sure your feet are flexed the entire time. Still want a nice long spine through this. And again, just bring some awareness to those hips. Make sure you're starting and isolating the movement there. Move the entire leg as one piece here. Let's just do 2 more each way, taking your time here on your breath. And when you finish that final one, just come back to neutral position, press yourself back up, and we'll switch. We'll cross our legs again. Remember, bring the opposite leg in top. So we'll switch it from where we were before to try and balance things out. If you can, have your ankles underneath your knees. And if you need to sit up on something, go ahead and place that underneath your sit bones. Start with your palms back on your knees, root down, rise up through the crown of your head, soften the shoulders away from the ears, take a nice deep inhale, and exhale. One more inhale, and exhale. We'll add some side leans. So let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Now release the left arm down, keep the right arm up, left fingertips or palm comes to the mat. And then inhale as you raise that right arm over, start to lean to your left, but keep that right sit bone on the mat. So if you go so far as to where you feel yourself coming up, just reduce how much you're leaning here. Now that left arm can walk out slightly. You can bend your elbow, use it for stability, but you're still supporting yourself with your core as well here. Try to rotate that pinky side edge forward so the right palm faces towards the left. Maybe you turn your neck to look up at those fingertips. Stay for one more breath. And inhale back up to center. We'll switch to the other side. So release the right arm down this time. Right palms or fingertips to the mat. And then inhale as you lift and lean over your right side this time. Left arm overhead, bicep by the ear. Again, you can walk those hands out. You can just bend your elbow, but try not to have fully support on your arm. You still want to engage your core here. Try to draw that pinky side edge of the arm, round it forward. Palm faces to the right. Maybe you turn your neck to look up towards the fingertips. One more breath here. Let's inhale both arms up to center. And exhale, hands down through center. Keep your hands together at the center of your chest. We'll do a little bit of wrist exercise here. So bring the backs of your hands together. And let's just rotate forward and back. So Coney reminded me that this week we were going to work on our wrist as well as our hip openers. And I think in our fundamental class on Monday, we didn't give as much attention. So Coney brought that to my attention that we should make sure we work on our wrist in practice today. So we'll definitely do that. All right, let's switch directions. So we're trying to just keep the backs of our wrists touching as we rotate. I'm not even sure what you call these other than wrist rotations. If anyone's got a better name, let me know. Just do a couple more rotations. And then come back to center, palms in the center of your chest, and release the arms down to the sides. Now we'll come onto our backs with our knees bent. So if you're sitting on something, just place it off to the side and just gently roll onto your back. Keep your knees bent, feet hips width distance, knees hips width distance, and just gently hug the knees in towards the chest. Wrap your hands around the right knee. Let's extend that left leg forward. Release the left heel to the mat. Draw that right knee in towards your chest and extend that left heel away from the body. This is Ekapada Apanasana, one-legged stretch here. Try to hug that navel in and down, flexing both feet. Make sure that left knee faces up towards the ceiling. Just one more breath here. And exhale, we'll switch. So draw the left knee in towards your chest. Wrap your hands around that left knee and extend that right leg out. Release the right heel to the mat. Flex both feet. Start to draw that left knee in towards the left shoulder as you extend that right heel away from the body. Really create length here. Keeping both feet flexed and that right knee facing up towards the ceiling. Just one more breath here. And exhale, draw both knees in towards your chest. Keep the knees bent and release the feet down to the mat. We'll do some knee circles. So left palm to the left hip, right palm on top of the right knee as you draw the right knee in towards your chest. And just start to make some circles with that right knee. So keep that hand on the knee and start drawing circles, starting in one direction. And begin to slow. Let's do the opposite direction. That left hand is there to keep that left hip rooted. So if your circles are too big so that your left hip pops up a little bit, maybe reduce your circles. Come back to stillness with the right knee hugged in. And let's release the right foot, switch to the other side. Left knee in towards your chest, left palm on that left knee, right palm on that right hip. And start to make your circles on the opposite side. Starting in this first direction. Just dynamically opening things up here. And begin to slow. Let's switch directions here. A couple more times. And come back to stillness. Release that left foot down. Stay for a breath here. And now hug that right knee back in towards your chest. Open that right knee out to the side. Once it's open, place the outside edge of that right ankle on top of the left thigh, right above the knee. So we're in this figure 4 here. Now make sure this left ankle is directly below that left knee. We're coming into a bridge pose in our figure 4. So it's a little challenging, but we'll make it dynamic. It'll be fun. So release the arms down to the side, palms face down. Keep that right foot flexed. That keeps a nice alignment in your knee to ankle. Now press down through that left foot. And on your inhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms up. Arms come up and overhead. And then exhale, gently release from the top of your spine, low back last to arrive. Let's keep going. Inhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms come up and overhead. And exhale, gently release down. 2 more times. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift up. Hips up, pelvis up, arms overhead. Exhale, gently release top of the spine, low back last to arrive. 1 more time. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, gently release. Okay, release that right knee. Right foot back down to the mat. We'll switch to the other side. So draw the left knee in toward your chest. Open that left knee out to the side. and place the outside of that left ankle on top of that right knee. Make sure this right foot is underneath that right knee. Maybe your fingertips graze the heel. And release both hands down to the mat. Flex that left foot to keep this ankle nice and safe here. Then press down through your feet and your hands. And on your inhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up, arms come up and overhead. Exhale, gently release. 3 more times here. So press down and inhale, lift up. Hips, pelvis, chest, and arms. Exhale, gently release, low back, last to arrive. 2 more times. Inhale, lift everything up, arms overhead. Exhale, gently release down. 1 more time. Inhale, lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up. And exhale, release the arms down. Release that foot back down to the mat. Stay for a breath here. Now we'll tug both knees in towards the chest. We're coming up into a tabletop, so get there whatever way you choose. If you want to hold on to the backs of your thighs, roll up and down your spine a couple times, you can do that. Cross your legs and come forward, or you can just let your legs fall off to the side and come and meet me in a tabletop. All right, tabletop. You have your wrists below your shoulders, knees below your hips, top to the feet to the mat. Let's add our cow cats. Inhale as we drop our navel, send our heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy, cat pose. Inhale, drop the navel, tailbone lifts, heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy, like Coney. Inhale, drop the navel, look up into your cow. Exhale, round the back into cat. Let's do 2 more here. Inhaling into your cow. Exhale, shoulders separate, cat pose. 1 last time. On your breath. All right, meet me back in a neutral spine. Check back in with your tabletop. Make sure your fingers are spread. You're gently pressing down through the base of each finger and each palm, top to the feet to the mat. Now straighten that right leg behind you. Flex that right foot and bring the thigh up to hip height. Now from here, take note of your pelvis and your shoulders. They should still be nice and neutral, so you shouldn't open out. But we'll add now the external rotation at that hip socket. So I want you to move your entire right leg all as one piece and externally rotate it so that the toes face away towards the right side. But your pelvis doesn't open here. So you're keeping your pelvis neutral and you're rotating to those right toes face away. Just stay for 1 more breath here. And exhale, gently release back to center. Release the knee down, top of the foot down. We'll switch to the other side. So extend that left leg back, straighten the left leg, raise the thigh up to hip height, flex that left foot, press back through that left heel. Take note of the pelvis, keep it nice and neutral, and then externally rotate the left toes out to the left side. Try not to raise that left hip up as you rotate, so just go to your capacity. Keep hugging that navel in and up, staying for 1 more breath. And then gently release that left knee down to the mat. So we'll move on from there. So we'll extend that right leg back up to hip height. Right leg is straight, flex the toes. Externally rotate without moving the hips, pressing back through that right foot. And now we're balancing. We'll extend the opposite arm, left arm forward. Left palm faces in, so pinky down, thumb up. Keep hugging that navel in. Adding a little bit of dynamic movement here now. So stay here if this is enough for you. Otherwise, we're going to bend our elbow, bend our knee. So right knee comes out to the side, left elbow comes back. And then inhale as you straighten. Keep the toes facing out the entire time. So exhale, bend. It's kind of like a side crunch. And inhale, extend. 2 more here. Exhale, bend. Inhale, extend. 1 more. Exhale, bend. And inhale, extend. Release that left arm down, right knee down. We'll switch to the other side. So those are a little tricky. All right, so extend that left leg back, left thigh up to hip height, flex the left toes. Let's externally rotate, keep the hips neutral. Left toes face away. Extend that right arm forward, pinky down, thumb up. Stay here if this is enough for you. Otherwise, we'll move on. So on our exhale, we'll bend the knee, bend the elbow, keep them both up at hip height. And inhale, re-extend. Left toes keep facing away. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Two more. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Last one. Exhale, bend. And inhale, straighten. Release that right hand down. Release that left knee down. Let's come into a child's pose. Tops of the feet to the mat, big toes touch. Your knees can either be wide or together. And just gently send your hips back towards your heels. Releasing your forehead to the mat or to a block. Arms extend forward, palms face down. Just take a couple nice deep breaths here in your child's pose. And always remember that this pose here is always an option if you need to recenter yourself, reconnect with your breath. Just take a little break for practice. Should be a nice restorative feeling here. Stay away from any pain. Stay for two more breaths here in your child's pose. Just one more breath. Now lift your hips up, pelvis up. Come back into your tabletop. Bring your knees back under hips with distance, top to the feet to the mat. Make sure those knees are directly underneath the hips. We'll add kind of a modified gate pose here. So I'm actually going to turn to you so I think it's a little easier to see here. We'll start with the right leg. So instead of extending the right leg back, we'll open the right knee out to the side, straighten the right leg, and release that right leg to the mat. So the right toes are still facing forward, and we'll just dynamically move back and forth here. So gently move back, hips come behind the knee, and you can shift forward. So we're keeping the arms on the ground here. If you can, try to place the entire right foot on the mat, but don't worry if just the inside edge touches. We're just gingerly moving forward and back here. Let's do a couple more times. And then let's come back to center. Release the right knee back down to tabletop, tops of the foot to the mat. And we'll switch to the other side. So now open that left leg out to the side, keep the pelvis neutral, straighten that left leg, release the left foot to the mat. And then softly gaze forward, softly flow forward and back. You can move on your breath. You can move a little bit slower or faster than me. Just do what works for you. This also opens up that hamstring a little bit. I know I'm starting to feel it. Hi, Oliver. Come to say hi. Slow forward and back one or two more times here. What's up, buddy? All right, let's come back to tabletop. Now, if you need some padding under your knees, you can put it. We'll just be here for another minute. I want you to walk your hands back to your knees. Stay up on your knees and then raise up, torso up. So your knees are bent, you're on your knees. Tops of the feet are still to the mat. Let's do some more wrist exercises. So this time we'll clasp the fingers together, just very tenderly, so not all the way up to the webbing, maybe about halfway through. Bring the bottoms of your palms together and then start to make circles here with your wrists. Again, make sure your fingers aren't too fully clasped here. Sometimes that can put a little more strain than we want here. So we're making little like figure eights here, infinity symbols, whatever you want to call it. Let's move a couple more times. And we'll switch directions. All right, we got Coney here also, showing off his white belly. Just keep rotating a couple more times. And let's come back to stillness. We'll come back into tabletop as we move into our down dog. So curl the toes under with the feet hips width distance, lift the knees up, hips up, start to straighten the legs, move your hips back over your heels, and come into our first down dog here. So your knees can bend, you can take your dog for a walk, so you can pedal out your feet, one and then the other.
Maybe you lift one leg and lift the other. Just make it your own for a couple breaths here. Loosen things out. Just one more breath in your movement. And then come back to stillness. Inhale as you gaze forward. Bend your knees. Exhale, walk your step to the top of the mat. Feet or hips width distance. Come into your forward fold. Ragdoll pose. So grab opposite elbows. Let your head hang in between both arms. Knees can bend. Chest can rest on the thighs if you'd like. Just let your head hang heavy. Slightly tuck your chin to elongate that cervical spine. You can stay here, or if you're one that likes to rotate side to side, you can slightly bend one knee more than the other as you gently roll side to side. Switch the clasp of your elbows. Keep moving if you like, or just stay right in the center. Now come back to stillness. Release your hands, release your arms. Press your feet down into the mat. We'll come up to standing nice and slowly. So start to roll up one vertebrae at a time, starting with the low back, with the arms and the head, the last thing to arrive. All right, once you're up here with me, just roll the shoulders up and back a couple times and back and forward. All right, let's keep warming up. Tops of the feet to the mat, feet or hips width distance, arms down to the side in our Tadasana pose. Soften those shoulders away from the ears. Take one big inhale here and exhale. Here we go. With inhale, the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, come back up to standing, arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides. One more time. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, knees can bend. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, arms out and up overhead, nice and tall. Exhale, hands down through center and down to the side. Stay for a breath, and we'll begin to build off of that. So let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Knees can bend, plant your palms. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back into plank. We're staying in plank for a couple breaths. You can always drop your knees to the mat. Either way, shoulders over wrists. Try to spin those inner thighs in and up. Draw that tailbone down towards your heels. Gazes up towards the top of your mat. One more breath. Now everyone gently lower your knees. Shift the torso forward. Bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, top of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Head and chest rises. Extend the toes away, send the heart forward. Draw the shoulders down the back. One more breath. Exhale, gently release. Curl the toes under. Press down through your hands and inhale, lift up through tabletop. And then lift your hips up, back to downward facing dog. Staying for a couple breaths in your down dog. Knees can slightly bend if your hamstrings are still tight. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Arms are shoulder width distance. Keep hugging those triceps in, pressing the biceps out. That'll create that external rotation in the shoulders. One more breath here. Now we'll inhale as we lift the right leg back up to hip height. So just like we were in tabletop. And now keep your pelvis neutral and externally rotate that right leg, just like we were doing before, so the right toes face out. Once you're here, you can bend that right knee. And then maybe you lift that right knee up a little bit higher. Just still try to keep your shoulders down and your pelvis neutral. So we're not opening up the hip here. We're still keeping that hip neutral. Staying for one more breath. Now re-extend that leg, knee and foot come back down. Release the foot back down to the mat. Back in your downward dog. We'll switch to the other side. So inhale as you lift that left leg up to hip height. Press back through that left heel. And externally rotate that left leg out to the side. Left toes face away. Keeping the pelvis neutral. You can bend that left knee. And maybe you raise that left knee up a little bit more. But again, we're not opening up the hip here. We're keeping that pelvis neutral. Staying for one more breath. And then re-straighten and release that left foot back down to the mat. Staying for one more breath here in your down dog. Now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Press your feet down. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Just take a moment here. All right, let's keep going. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms down. Extend your right leg back, extend your left leg back in your plank. We're not staying here, so let's drop the knees down. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, press the tops of the feet down. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Draw the shoulders down. Release the tailbone towards the heels. Send the heart forward, one more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead down. Okay, we're staying down here. We're coming into frog pose. So, frog pose, we'll do one side at a time. So, the way that looks, I've got Oliver right here, but I think I can still do it. So, we'll start on the left side. So, you'll keep your belly down. You'll keep the right leg down with the top of the right foot down. But you'll bend your left knee out to the side and bring your left knee up to hip height. So that's what we're going for. See if you can bring your left knee up to hip height and release the inside edge of that left foot to the mat. So if you look back, you should have your knee and your ankle in line here. I know you can't really see me from here, but that's the idea. And from here, you're gently pressing the hips down. Now you can extend your arms forward, grab opposite elbows like in a ragdoll, and rest your head on your arms. This is a more restorative pose, so we're going to be here for just a couple breaths. Again, this shouldn't be painful at all. You can add just a little bit of pressure, just gently pressing that left side towards the mat, or you can just kind of hang out and let gravity do the work. Let's stay for 2 more breaths here. One more breath. Place your hands back beside your ribs. Let's extend that left leg back to where we started. Top of the left foot to the mat. We'll switch to the other side. So I've got Oliver here, so I'm just going to do my left side, or I guess I'll switch to the other side. So we're now doing the right side. So we're bending that right knee up to hip height. Right foot flex. Release the inside edge of that right foot to the mat. So that right hip most likely is going to come off the mat. There'll definitely be space there unless you're super open. But that's fine. That's where we're going to let either gravity do the work or we can gently press down through the thigh. Let both arms cross, grab opposite elbows, and release the forehead to rest. Staying here for a couple breaths. Again, you can either just let gravity do the work, make it more restorative, or you can just add a little bit of pressure, pressing that knee and that thigh in towards the ground. Keep trying to draw the tailbone down toward your heels, reducing that arch in your back. Stay for 2 more breaths. One last breath here. And then just gently re-extend that right leg back to come back onto your belly. Both legs extend behind. Bring both hands back to either side of your ribs. Make sure your elbows are directly over your wrists. You may need to look, may need to move your hands back with the fingers facing forward. Let's curl the toes under, press yourself up through tabletop, and then lift up and back into your downward facing dog. Stay here for a couple breaths in your down dog. Now, in your down dog, let's inhale as you gaze forward. Bend your knees, but walk your hands back towards your feet. So walking our hands back towards our feet, coming to the back edge of our mat into a standing forward fold. Now your feet are hip width distance right now. Go ahead and walk your feet out wide to the edge of your mat. So your feet are either shoulder width distance or maybe a little bit wider. Have your heels slightly in and your toes faced out. If you have blocks, you can keep them ready. We're coming down into a squat. Sometimes you'll need your block depending on how open you are. But if you're using your blocks or your props or whatever, just go ahead and place that behind your heels, maybe about 6 inches. Again, heels are slightly in, toes are slightly out. And you'll gently start to lower yourself. So you'll bend your knees as your torso and your heart lifts. Your hips come down. Maybe it rests on your block, or maybe you can rest without your block here. Bring your hands into the center of your chest and try to get your arms to the inside edge of your knees, wherever you are. Now, if neither of those options work for you, you can just stay up a little bit higher here. Just do what works for you today. If your hands are in at the center of your chest, try to draw those thumbs closer in towards the sternum. Now you can gently press the knees in towards the triceps as you press the triceps away. It's really easy to round the back here, so try to lift the heart up as if there's a string on your chest and someone's lifting it up towards the ceiling. Let's stay for 2 more breaths in our squat. 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release your hands down. Lift up off your block if you have it. Walk your hands back out into your down dog as you bring your feet back into hips width distance. From here, knees bend slightly if you need to. 2 breaths in your down dog. Just 1 more breath. Now we'll lift that right leg back up to hip height. Keeping the pelvis neutral, open those right toes, externally rotate that right leg, and then bend that right knee. So gently lift that right knee up a little bit higher. Now keep that right knee bent. You're going to shift your torso forward and bring that right knee to your right tricep or right elbow. See if you can hover for a moment. And then exhale, press yourself back up, knee bends. Let's try that one more time. So we'll shift forward, bring that right elbow to the right tricep, hover for a moment, shoulders over wrists, and exhale, press yourself back. Let's re-extend that right leg straight back, right toes to the ground, release that right foot down. We'll switch to the other side. So this time, lift your left leg up to hip height, open those left toes out to the side, bend that left knee, and then draw that left knee up a little bit higher, and then shift forward, shoulders over wrists, bring that left knee to the left tricep or elbow, hover for a moment, exhale, press yourself back. One more time, shift forward, shoulders over wrists, knee to elbow, and exhale, press yourself back. Re-extend that left leg, left toes point to the mat, release that left foot back down. Stay for 1 more breath in your down dog. Let's inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet are hips width distance. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Stay in your forward fold here. We'll add another little wrist stretch here. Padahastasana. So bring the backs of your hands to the ground. Bend your knees as much as you need to start. Lift your toes up and slip your hands underneath those feet. Maybe your toes come up to your wrists. Again, you can have your knees as much as you need to make this happen. And once you get your hands underneath there, you can begin to straighten those legs. Let the head hang heavy, just like in any forward fold or ragdoll here. So that we're not moving, we're staying stationary here. You can gently wiggle your toes, give your wrists a little bit of a massage here. Let's stay for a couple more breaths. One more breath here. And gently shift the weight back in the heels, lift the toes up, release the hands out from underneath. Press down through the feet, inhale, lift up halfway, nice and gentle. Extend through all sides of the torso. Exhale, rebend, forward fold. We'll come back up to standing, press through the feet, lift the arms out and up, overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Just stay for a moment here. Just take one more deep breath. All right, let's bring the big toes into touch. So we're still at the top of our mat. Heels slightly separated, arms down to the side. We're still in our Tadasana pose here. So soften the shoulders away from the ears. Take one more breath here. And exhale. Come into our chair pose. So keep the knees together, bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward, palms face each other. So pinkies down, thumbs up. Try to get those biceps by the ears. Make sure you're not lifting your arms up so much that you're arching your back. You want to keep the back still nice and straight. Make sure you can gaze down and see your toes. If those knees are in front, you need to shift those hips back slightly. And shift a little more weight into the heels. Maybe you can bring those toes up off the mat. Release the toes down. Bring the hands into the center of your chest now in prayer pose. We'll add a twist. So we'll inhale as we lengthen. Exhale, twist to your right. From the navel up. You can stay here. You can release the outside edge of that left arm to the right knee. Either way, try to draw that left hip back. Most likely it came forward. Don't worry, we're only holding this for one more breath. And exhale, release back into chair, hands to the center of your chest. We'll inhale as we lengthen. And exhale, twist to your left this time. Navel up. Again, you can stay here or release the outside edge of that right elbow, the outside of the left knee. Draw that right hip back to keep that pelvis centered. We'll stay for one more breath. And exhale, release into your forward fold. Release the hands. Let's inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms to the mat. Step your right leg back. Step your left leg back. We're in our plank pose. Dropping the knees to the ground. Shifting the torso forward. Bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the tops of the toes, press them into the mat, and inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Maybe start to straighten your arms into half cobra or full cobra. Just keep your shoulders over the wrists either way. Stay for one more breath as you release the tailbone towards the heels, and exhale, gently release. Now stay down here. We have the opportunity to come into frog pose again. Now, you can do both knees at the same time if you'd like. If that's going to be a little too much for you, you'll do one side and you'll do the other side. So I'll make sure you have time for both. So if you're coming into full frog pose, staying on your belly, you'll bend both knees. Actually, it's probably easier to come in this way. Let's see. Let's press up into tabletop. So press up into tabletop if you're doing both knees. Otherwise, if you're staying on your belly and doing one side and doing the other, you can do that. So from your tabletop, start to separate your knees out to your capacity. I'm pretty limited in my mobility here, so I'm not going to move too much. So just go to where you can. And again, flex the feet so the inside edges of the feet come down to the mat. Make sure those ankles are lined up with the knee. And then gently release your forearms to the mat. You can stay here if you'd like, or you can gently rock forward and back. Just do what feels right for you. If it feels nice to just stay there statically, letting gravity do the work, go for it. Or you can start to softly flow forward and back.
Just try not to let your chest sink wherever you are, so you're still actively pressing down. Nice long neutral spine, chin is slightly tucked. If you're doing half at a time, go ahead and start to switch to the other side from on your belly. And if you're a lot more mobile than me in your full frog pose, you can walk your hands out and let your chest fall down to the mat and stay there. Just make it your own. The idea here is just to keep opening up these hip joints, but make sure those feet are flexed and the ankles are in line with the knee wherever you are. That'll keep your knees nice and safe. Right, Oliver? Let's stay for a couple more breaths here. This can feel good. You could stay here for minutes, hours maybe, or maybe you're ready to come out. So take your last breath wherever you are. Then we'll all meet back on our bellies. So if you're doing full frog, come back up to tabletop and then just shift back down onto your belly. Arms down to the sides. So place the palms beside your ribs, elbows back. Make sure your wrists are directly below your shoulders. Curl the toes under. Lift the knees up by pressing the heels back. Press the arms down into the ground. And then lift up into plank pose. Shoulders over wrists. We'll shift our hips back and up, come into your downward facing dog. From your down dog, lift the right leg up and back. Externally rotate, open those right toes to the side, keep the pelvis neutral. Bend that right knee. And just one time, we'll shift forward, shoulders over wrists, right elbow to right knee. And then inhale as we lift back up. Now re-straighten that right leg so that the knee and the toes face down towards the mat. We'll shift forward, bend the knee in towards the chest, and draw the right foot up to the top of the mat. Come into your high lunge. So right foot is on the right side, left foot is on the left side. Both toes are facing forward. Inhale, lift the torso and arms up overhead. Exhale, release the hands down through the center of your chest. Now keep that right knee over that right ankle. And we're going to shift forward as we press up off our back heel. Lift that left foot into the air. Bend the left knee up to hip height. So we're now balancing here. So with our right foot down, our left knee up. Now we'll open up that left knee to the side. So we'll externally rotate that left leg. Release the outside edge of that left heel to the top of that right thigh, just like where we were before when we were on our backs. So if this is enough for you, you can stay here. Otherwise, next option, begin to bend your knee, send your hips back, keep your spine nice and long, and start to lower your hips down. Got the balanced strength pose here, hip opener. Keep that left foot flexed though to keep that knee safe, and keep drawing that left thigh away from your body. Last option here, if you'd like, you can fold forward gently over that left leg. Wherever you are, we're staying here for 2 more breaths, so just make it your own. One last deep breath. Now press down through that right foot. Inhale, lift yourself back up to standing. And exhale, gently release that left leg down. Arms down to the sides, still at the top of your mat. Feet are together, heels are separated. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold, plant your hands down, step your right foot back, step your left foot back, shift your hips back, come back into your down dog. Let's do the other side here. So let's lift that left leg up to hip height. Open those left toes out to the side, turning the entire leg. Bend that right knee. Lift that left knee, left knee. Lift that left knee up a little higher. And now one time, shift the torso over, shoulders over wrists, elbow to knee. Exhale as you shift back to your down dog. Re-straighten that left leg, keep it up in the air, but now the knee and the toes face down.
And exhale, left knee in towards your chest, shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, left foot to the top of the mat. So we're in our high lunge here again, left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side. Press down through both feet. Inhale, lift both arms up overhead. Settle in, exhale, hands down through the center of your chest. All right, you know where we're going. So begin to shift your weight forward, press up off that back heel, and lift that right knee up to hip height. Flex that right foot. Now open that right knee out to the side and release that right ankle on top of that left thigh. Now again, if this is enough, you can stay right here. Otherwise, bend that left knee and start to sink your hips down. Just like in our chair pose, we still want to keep our spine nice and long and shift the weight back into the heels if you can. You have the option to stay here if this is enough for you. Otherwise, you'll shift forward and start to bend over that right knee. Keep that pelvis neutral. Maybe need to drop that right thigh down slightly. Keep pressing that left heel into the mat. Stay for 2 more breaths wherever you are. And now press down through that left foot. Inhale as you lift yourself back up and release that right foot down to the mat. Stay at the top of your mat, big toes touch, arms down to the side. Let's inhale the arms up overhead, palms face each other, and exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your left foot back, step your right foot back. Shift your hips up and back into your down dog, and then drop your knees to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, tops of the big toes touch, and shift back into your child's pose. So hips to heels, forehead to the mat or to a block, and arms extended out in front of you. Let's take a couple deep breaths here. One more nice deep breath. And lift your hips up, lift your forehead up. Send your legs off to the side. Come to a seat with your legs out in front of you. Feet are flexed, hips width distance, knees can have a slight bend. We'll add a twist. So draw the right knee in towards your chest. You have the option to keep your right foot to the inside edge of your left foot, or you can place it to the outside edge. I should also say if you have trouble sitting up here, you can always place something underneath again to give you a little bit of elevation. So Oliver's in my way here, so I'm going to keep my right leg on the inside. Release your right fingertips behind you, just your fingertips. So don't put your whole palm, don't put all your weight back on here. Fingertips are there just for guidance. Let's inhale as we lift the left arm up. And exhale, twist over that right knee. Maybe you release the outside edge of that left elbow to the right knee. Adding a gentle twist here. Keep drawing that right shoulder back. You inhale as you lengthen. And exhale, twist. If you had to, you could raise those right fingertips off the mat. Just there for a little stability. Staying for 2 more breaths, keeping that left foot flexed. One last breath. What's up, Coney? And exhale, gently release back to center. Re-extend that right leg straight, slight bend in the knee. And we'll switch to the other side. So bend the left knee in toward your chest. Left foot comes to the inside or the outside edge of that right knee. Press down through the ball of that left big toe. Release the left fingertips behind. Inhale as you raise the right arm up overhead. Exhale, twist from the navel up. Maybe that right elbow comes to the outside edge of that left knee. So you're twisting over that left knee to your left. Keeping that right foot flexed. You inhale as you lengthen. Exhale, twist. Keep broadening the shoulders. Draw that left shoulder back. Neck is always the last thing to turn, so maybe you turn to look over the left shoulder.
And if you needed to, you could pick those left fingertips off the mat. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release back to center. Extend both legs out. Let's bend both knees, shift our hips forward, and gently lower back onto your spine. If you want to challenge yourself, you can not hold on to anything, or you can hold on to your thighs. Gently roll down. Now bring your knees back to hips width distance with the heels underneath the knees. Just add a bridge pose here. So arms down to the sides, palms face down. Feet and knees hips width distance. Press down through the feet. Inhale, lift your hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your bridge pose. Keep spinning those inner thighs in and down to keep the knees hips width distance. If you'd like, you can roll your shoulders underneath so that you're balancing on your triceps here. Last option, clasp your hands under your back. Fingers clasped. Try to bring those pinkies to the bottom, to the mat. Keep pressing down through the feet. Maybe lift up a little bit higher. And exhale, gently release. Top of the spine, low back last to arrive. Bring the knees to touch. Heel toe the feet out to the width of the mat. Release the arms down to the sides. And gently rock the knees from side to side. And come back to stillness. Heel toe the feet back to hips width distance. Hug those knees back into your chest. Give one last little squeeze here. Maybe lift your shoulders and your head up off the mat. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. One more breath. And exhale, re-extend those legs straight out. Extend the arms overhead. Point the toes, extend the fingers away from the body. One last full body stretch here. And exhale, gently release. Arms down to the sides, palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall out to the side. Come into our Shavasana pose, final pose of the practice here. Now I'll give you the option if you want to come into bound angle, Baddha Konasana, instead of your Shavasana. You can bring the bottoms of your feet together and let your knees fall off to the side, like a diamond shape. If you're one that likes to place blocks underneath your knees in this position, you can do that as well. Or you can just stay right in your Shavasana. Just make it your own. As you settle in, maybe your eyes close or your gaze softens. And just use this time at the end of practice to release. Release any last little bit of tension you may have, maybe in your feet, your ankles. Where are you still holding on to a little bit into your body? Just try to release any control over your breath as well. Just be here. And just begin to bring some awareness back into your body. If you're in your bound angle, just gently remove the blocks if you're using it. And very simply and slowly use your hands to draw your knees in towards each other. And re-extend your legs and stay for a moment. And everyone can begin wiggling your fingers and your toes. You can rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in your rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here on your back. Now gently begin to bend your knees as you roll over to one side of your body. Let your top arm rest on your bottom. Let your top knee rest on your bottom knee. Just stay for a breath on your side. And keeping your eyes closed or your gaze softened, use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seat to complete your practice today. Once you're in your comfortable seat, place the palms on top of your knees. Palms can face up, or bring the hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together and exhale, release. Thank you for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. All right. Thank you all so much for practice. Just as usual, I really appreciate you all joining me. Hope you had a really great class. Oh, Diana, thank you for checking in. Glad to see you here as well. Glad the cats were able to make an appearance. They seem to be everywhere today, so that always makes it a little more fun, a little bit more challenging. Maybe you have some pets or kids or other family members that you're having to do a little bit of twister action around if they're nearby. So yeah, so hope those hips feel good. We'll be having a level 2 class for hip openers on Friday at 7 p.m. So if you're interested, go ahead and join me there. If you have any questions, you can always let me know in the chat. Really appreciate you guys checking in there. That always helps. My contact info is always in the description as well. And yeah, I think that's it. So if you would ever like to donate, that link's in the description as well. But otherwise, I will see you next time in practice. So thanks again for joining. Enjoy the rest of your week. And my name is Daniel. Peace.